The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
I've got Colonel Riley on the line, Harry Riley on the line, who is doing, we're putting together Operation American Spring, and he has some things that he wants to interject with regard to bringing some of these things to the fore through what we're going to be doing through American Spring. So let me see if I can get him up here without cutting him off. Colonel Riley, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Welcome.
Hello.
How are you this evening?
Great.
You're on the air with Commander Kirchner and Doug Vogt and me and Linda Jordan.
Nice to be with all you gentlemen, lady. Welcome.
Go for it.
Basically, the American people have lost confidence and faith in every aspect of government and even in the legal system. You know, we've been fighting this thing for 5 or 6 years now. You know, writing letters to the Congress, calling the media, trying to get the legal system to work, town halls, you name it. And absolutely nothing is happening. We're going backwards. And if we can, we don't have the time actually to wait on the legal system, because Barack Obama will continue to write executive orders and rules and regulations, and the U.S. Congress will sit over there like mushrooms in the corner and eat the crap that's thrown to them and do nothing, and everything is lawless. I don't understand how you expect to get anything done legally when there's no law in Washington. Obama just writes the law he wants to write. He ignores, it's... We're going to Washington. We're going to try to raise 10 million people to take to Washington in May. And I tell you, there's at least 100 million out there that are ready to come. And we're going to do an Arab Spring again, and we're going to just close Washington down. It's useless. It's worthless. Obama needs to go. Biden needs to go. Boehner needs to go. McConnell, the whole bunch. Mm-hmm. They're all a bunch of worthless. They're worthless. They're just sucking the American people dry. And
now,
we're fed up with it. Enough is enough.
Now that sort of begs the question of, is the entire federal judiciary, including the entire Supreme Court, completely unreliable? I'm just throwing that out there.
Now you know why I mailed over 115. I'll mail another 50 out. It'll be a sampling of about 25% of all the judges. That's a pretty good-sized sampling. If we don't get, I've gotten a few answers, but mostly those to send it to the U.S. attorney, and they don't have to. The law says they don't have to. They could put it in the grand jury themselves. But we'll know after it's all mailed off whether they're going to do anything.
The law says what the judge shall do, doesn't it? It says shall.
Yes, it does. Right.
It's not
says,
that
technically, it says, the law says on submitting it to a grand jury, it says the court or a United States attorney. The court is a judge. So any federal judge, even the retired ones, inactive ones, could do it and put it into a grand jury and submit it. But two of the judges thought they had to give it to the U.S. Attorney's Office rather than do it themselves. So, and one of the U.S. attorneys thought it wasn't in their district, but they're not true. It's not true. One of the crimes they did was wire fraud. When they took the likeness of the birth certificate, the PDF copy, which is a copy of the original, and they put it on cups, they put it on T-shirts for the campaign, they were marketing it, the likeness of it, and they sold it to collect money nationwide. So it's under wire fraud. They can any one of the districts can go sue them.
I bought one in Pennsylvania. I did that on purpose to establish the factual evidence and that it took place during his campaign.
Well, they violated USC Title 18 document fraud across state lines in every state.
Getting no replies whatsoever from a large sample of judges would sort of be indicative of there either being scared or complicit. Either take your pick.
It's the ultimate hot potato for the court, and they all know it. And you could tell by the answer that the Ninth Circuit gave, and even the judge here in Seattle. You read it, and you know right off the bat, it's bullshit. They're grasping for straws so they don't have to do anything.
Yeah. I don't know if
they're threatened by the administration or what. We don't know. But we're going to find out whether we have an independent judiciary or it's really controlled by the executive or we've had a coup.
Well, the judiciary and Congress are playing catch-22. Congress says it's a judicial problem. The justices are saying it's a congressional problem. We've been hearing that in almost every lawsuit since
but not this
summer of 2008. No,
not
in your
this.
case, it's
totally
unquestionable
different.
The law of the United States, and they're just ignoring it. And that's the question you need to get to SCOTUS as soon as possible. Can the court itself deliberately ignore a U.S. statutory law that's been on the books since the founding generation?
Oh yeah, they can't. That's the beauty of it. They can't say this is not what the founding fathers wanted to do. This was written by them.
Well, it's also still on the books. It's valid U.S. law. So that's the number one question you ask the Supreme Court.
U.S. attorneys use it all the time against people who know about a crime, and they say, "Well, you're going to get 3 years in prison unless you tell us."
Exactly. That's a very salient point.
Oh, it's used all the time.
Doug, I thought about something like this a couple years ago. We used to have in this state, I don't know if we still do, a law. It was called a Good Samaritan Law. I think several states have that. But I'd considered filing under a Good Samaritan Law because I was witnessing a crime. And if you don't get involved to try and stop it, you can get you violate the law and you can get thrown in prison because you didn't come forward to help.
So those are state versions of this national statute that Doug is talking about. They have them at all the states. But that just brings it to a state court. Doug is right. It's got to get to a federal court for the USC code. He's got them by the short hairs, but in my opinion, you got to get it to the Supreme Court as quickly as possible with the right four questions, the correct.
But do you really have any confidence in the Supreme Court after the
Obamacare decision? Well, you got to go there and make them show themselves. If they show themselves as cowards, then if it does go
to a higher
step, then it's been tried. We've tried everything now, Doug. You're trying another new thing. Let them duck it, and we know where we are. We have a coup in effect.
Correct.
But make them duck.
I think it's worth. I definitely think it's worth filing with the Supreme Court. Make them duck. One of the things that I've been. As I've been running this, Operation American Spring through my head is that, what we need to convey is the willingness to fight. As Col Riley has pointed out in all of the promotional stuff that we have out there for Operation American Spring is that we're not charging down into D.C. with muskets drawn. We are basically going to show them that we are willing to take it to, we're willing to, I guess, escalate it in a sense, because we've already maintained that they're lawless. The question is just how far. It reminds me of that joke about the
Declaration of Independence. You have to state that you've exhausted all legal and natural law remedies, and that's the last resort.
Could I interject something really simple? Yeah. Do you remember when communism was falling in Poland? Do you remember what the people did? They took their pots and a ladle, and they marched down the street and banged the pots in crowds of hundreds of thousands in their cities.
Yep.
And maybe that's what has to happen. Not just in Washington, D.C., but have demonstrations in front of federal buildings or where these congressmen and senators are.
In every state. That's what I had thought, Doug, because it's hard for people to to D.C.?
The problem we're facing is our side believes in the rule of law, and we have to conclusively prove to these normal law-abiding people that all legal remedies have been exhausted. And I think Doug's come up with one last legal remedy, and that's enforcement of that law. They ducked it at the district level. They ducked it at the appeals level. Make the Supreme Court duck. Now there's nothing we haven't tried legally. And then I think the 10 million man rally is probably the only way.
Well, we're going in May. It's not going to be armed or violent or anything like that.
It's going to be like Czechoslovakia, the Velvet Revolution, right? That's what you have planned.
Well, yeah. Actually, demonstrate in front of the Supreme Court. That may be when they finally rule on the thing.
Believe me, when we go up there with 10 million, it's going to totally close Washington down because it will spread clear over into Virginia and Maryland.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.